So this idea of Kenyans wanting to just having the end results, like you just want someone to give you 30,000 per month or give you 50,000 per month, that's not the reality. So before you invest on the anything, make sure you understand it yourself. I want to talk about how we lose money, sometimes without necessarily knowing how we are losing money, okay? So if you like this channel, my name is Julia. I like talking about conversation around money, growing yourself, growing your business, and just becoming a whole rounded human being. Okay, if this is something that interests you, please don't forget to subscribe, like and share, and follow for more. Okay, so let's just go right into the video. We don't want to waste time. So I was actually thinking how most of us have lost money in the past, including myself. When I talk about this money conversation, I'm not talking about money conversation from the air. And let me tell you, when it comes to money, there is no right or wrong. It's just to figure out what works for you. So when we have this money conversation, we are not talking about them so that we put fault or we look at people's mistakes. So there's nothing like wrong way of doing things. It just has to be something that aligns with what you want. Number one, how do we lose money? Not taking time to understand financial literacy. Guys, let me tell you, I think it was 2018 when it hit me that I've worked in the financial sector, but I did not understand money. So you learn these things theoretically, but you see, when it comes to the actual doing of stuff, it's a totally different thing. That's what I'm talking about. So I learned when I was 2018, something happened. We were being laid off. Let me give you a short story. So 2018, I think it was that time during Trump's first time for him to be president. So there was some cutoff when it comes to NGOs or funding. Okay, they had to cut. They were going to reduce our salary. They were going to cut off people. Okay, and it was so abrupt. I think it was a 1 month notice that we were all going to go home. Those were around 200 staff were going home at that time, and that is when the realization of I did not put my money, or I was not working with my money. I was earning money, I was spending money, I was thinking I was doing the things that you should be doing with money, but I was not really focused on understanding money. Like I did not have any relationship with money. So it was work, get your money, do what you need to do, and move on. Just the same way we've been, like the way you've learned for the longest time. Okay, so for me 2018 was a wake-up call, and that's when I realized, I don't understand so many things about money. Like I really do not understand so many things around money. Okay, so we talk about savings, we talk about investments, we talk about budgeting, we talk about assets and liability. That's what we know. If you worked in the financial sector, you understand these things, okay? But I also came to realize there are other things around money that we were not taught. And those are some of the things that I had to teach myself, were things like looking rich. You want to look rich, but you don't have the money. Those are the things now I wanted to understand for myself. What is this need for us to, and we talk about us, I'm talking about myself, guys. I'm not blaming anyone. So what is the need to actually want to look rich, want to have an expensive phone, want to have an expensive handbag, you want to live in a certain neighborhood, you want to take your kids in a certain school, so you want to look like you're rich, but you do not actually have the wealth as it should. So you all of those things that you're spending money on are actually liabilities, because they're taking money away from you and they're not growing your money. I don't know if you understand. So when you're paying rent in a very nice neighborhood, it helps you, it gives you the illusion that you're doing well. When you're driving a very expensive car, and probably that car was funded by a bank, you have this illusion that I'm doing very well, but in the reality of things, you are not doing well. You're actually spending your money, or you're spending your income on all the liabilities. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, something else I had to actually understand for myself is the need. So when you talk about spending money to look rich, it has a classism. Is that the word? I think so. Classism is where you want to stay in a certain neighborhood so that you belong to a certain class. I hope that is the right word. So sometimes we do things because we want to belong. So you drive a certain car. You see, like in Kenya, we have groups of different car owners. Like there's Mazda car owners. So that is a classism. You buy a Mazda so that you belong in the class of Mazda. So we end up wanting to look rich because we want to belong. So we spend money on different schools, like take our kids to a different school because we want to belong to that kind of a class. Right? So when you're working in an organization, you also want to, especially if you're in the management, you also want to look a certain way. So what do? You spend money as so that you belong in that class. Okay, so that was something I had to understand. Why do we do these things? Okay, so this is something that probably you can look into. Why do you want to look like you're doing well? Why do you buy expensive shoes so that when someone looks at you, they think, oh, this guy must be having money? So will you rather look like someone who has money or really have money in your pocket? That is the biggest question. Okay, so please put in the comment below if this is something that you've experienced with, especially if you worked in corporate. Have you experienced where you want to belong to a certain class, so you do the things that that class demands of you? Something else I wanted to also learn around money is delayed gratification. So we want to earn money and spend money as quick as we've gotten it. Okay, so but I really wanted to understand what is delayed gratification. Because all these things that I'm talking about, apart from the asset, liability, budgeting and all these things, they impact your money. Yeah, so when you want to belong to a class, you spend money to belong to that class. That impacts your money. Okay, delayed gratification means I take a moment to step back before I spend the money, or I take longer than I should. Like if I wanted to buy something, I can tell myself I'm gonna give myself like a month or 2 weeks before I buy it, so that I understand what is this need for me to buy these things. So you delay the gratification of wanting to spend money as quick as you've made it. Those are things that impact your money directly. Okay, so you also have to understand what is your need to get money and spend it. You see, there are people who cannot hold money more than a day. They get, I think it's almost towards the end of February, and most people are going to get their income. Let me tell you, there's someone who's going to get an income today, their salary today, and by the end of the weekend, come on Monday, they don't have anything in their bank because they do not know how to hold money, or they want to spend money as quick as they get the money. Okay, so what can you do to delay the gratification that can work for your money? Okay, something else I also wanted to understand is there's a term called frugality. Frugality is where you don't spend money, you downgrade completely so that you can be able to save money for something. Okay, some people take frugality as a lifestyle. That is a choice. And some people can take frugality, or you can say, I'm gonna be so frugal for the next coming 6 months because this is my target. Okay, so you understand what I'm saying? So frugality for some people is a lifestyle, for some is just a temporary cost before they get to where they want to go, or they are saving to buy a house, or they are saving to do some investment, or when you realize that you're delayed like this, you're behind on something, so you decide for the next 2 years I'm going to live very frugally, and so that I can be able to catch up to the investments or to my retirement, or whatever way you want to see your money work for you. Okay, so there are also terms like living like nobody else so that you can live like nobody else. This term I actually got it from Dave Ramsey. So Dave Ramsey talks about this a lot, like why can't you live like nobody else so that later you can live like nobody else? And this just means like you don't follow the masses. You know, we have this idea of wanting to live like everybody else, so we follow the masses. But why can't you not live like anybody else or like everybody else, so that later you can live like nobody else? Something else that impacts our money is overconsumption. I talked about it in the last video. You can go check it out, how we are influenced to spend our money because of the things that we see the influencers do, or the culture around us. Okay, so something else also I wanted to understand about money is our money traumas. And the impact on how we spend money. Okay, so most people don't realize it's not just about saving, investing, or earning money. So you're like, I can't wait to get a job. I can't wait to get a job so that I can save and invest and do all these things. Your traumas, or how you saw your caregivers or your parents spend money, has a very big impact on how you also spend your money. So you have to sit down and just realize, or observe, or just analyze, how were my parents spending money, or how were my caregivers spending money, how am I spending money? Am I doing exactly what I saw them do, which is probably a positive or a negative, or I saw what they did and it was not serving them, so I need to change. You see, our money, our first money ideas comes from our caregivers. So my children will their first money way of dealing with money will come from us. So they observe how we lived, how we spend our money, the way we actually just lived our life, and then they will actually either take it in a positive way or in a negative way and decide to take a different direction. That's what I'm saying. So you have to really analyze how did your parents raise you or your caregivers? Was it a positive impact in terms of how you saw them spend their money? So when it comes to old age, you can really see now the implications of how they spend their money when you guys were growing up. You can now see their parents who in their old age, they are able to fund their retirements, they have properties, and their parents who do not have that. Okay, so you have to see just maneuver around, just observing what you can be able to observe and make a decision around it, because see now this is a problem. If you do not observe your parents and analyze how they spend their money, and they were their first contact when it comes to how you spend your money, you can also carry it down to your children. So your children may end up doing the same thing, because you pick it from your parents, your kids pick it from you, and their kids will pick from them. Okay, so this is what we talk about when we say generation challenges, because they can either be generational wealth or generational challenges, because if your parents did the right thing with their money, it passes down to you and you pass it down to your kids, so it becomes a generational thing. Okay, something else I want to say about when it comes to money that is not necessarily talked about is how much is enough for you when it comes to how much money you make and how you invest your money. Because the reason why I'm talking about this, it impacts your money, is because when you do not know what is enough for you, and I've seen this in so many places, especially when you're working in corporate, when someone does not understand what is their enough, what they end up doing is that they find themselves in very shoddy dealings. Like maybe they start wanting to steal money from the corporation, they want to divert money in their own personal accounts. So these things will impact you and impact your money. Okay, so you have to understand what is your enough, what is enough for you in your soul. What is your enough? Because if you don't understand, you might end up having a greed around money. So you are making money, but you're not content with the money that you're making. So you end up stealing from corporation, you end up stealing from your employers, let me tell you, when it comes to stealing, you think that you're just stealing from employers, but sometimes the greed end up reflecting in your own life, and you end up even stealing from yourself. Second thing that I want to talk about is investing. Why people lose money is investing in things they don't understand. Guys, the amount of people I hear them running to just invest. Okay, so they float a certain share, or their KPLC or Safaricom is floating shares. You end up buying, but do you have an understanding about shares? Have you done your own research, or you're just moving because people are moving, or because someone is saying, oh, let's buy because it's gonna sell later? We've seen in most cases how many people when they ended up buying shares that did not do well. So you end up losing money. You see now, you probably took like 200,000, you put it in the shares, buying of the shares, but because you did not understand the shares and you did not do your own personal research, you end up losing money because you invested because someone told you to invest. Okay, so you have to really understand where you're putting your money. I've also seen people put their money on Forex, and when I talk about Forex, you have not learned anything about Forex. You want someone to manage your Forex or manage your account, or you pay someone to generate money for you or an income for you by investing that money in Forex. Guys, this is 2026. You cannot just invest your money blindly. If you want to take the Forex route, you have to sit down and really research it for yourself. Even if you decide to give someone else to do it for you, but do you have an understanding, or you're just moving because, oh, they said they can be giving me 30,000 per month, so this is good, so I'm going to take this money from here and give them so that every month I get. I don't understand. If people who have done trading for the longest time, they tell you the risk involved when it comes to investing money in such things. Okay, but you have to also understand it for yourself. You have to really sit down and really read into it, like really make an informed decision, because you now when you put your money there, you already know the risk that you're taking, and you know what you understand sometimes. So now people take advantage of people, because I just come up with big terms and I come and tell you, oh, this is what is going to happen. So I float for you very big terms, and then because you don't understand those terms, what do? You just say, okay, you just do what you have to do. Just give me the profits. There's no way you can create wealth, make money when you don't understand where you're spending your money, okay? So please, before you invest on Forex trading, please learn about trading first. Even before you sublet that, or you give someone that mandate to I don't know, create for you an account or run for you an account and give you money. Let me tell you, years back, like almost 5 years back, what did people do? People took money, they bought Ubers, okay? And then they took drivers and put them on Ubers. If you look today, guys, those people who did that, almost 90% lost money, because you're investing you're investing your money on Uber because you thought, oh, people make between 30 to 40,000 per month. But you can now realize that the reality on the ground is not the same as this idea. There's so much between taking money to buy the car so that you can put it on the Uber, and there are things that are not factored in when you're doing that. So people took money, they bought the cars, they gave it to the drivers. What happened in most cases, some people took the car back and they even sold the car, because now you understand it's just not about driving and making money. So this idea of Kenyans wanting to just having the end results, like you just want someone to give you 30,000 per month or give you 50,000 per month, that's not the reality. So before you invest on anything, make sure you understand it yourself. Do it yourself first before you give it to someone else, okay? So also ask yourself, how many people, once we get employed, the first thing that actually was very spoken about was, when you get employed first, just join a SACCO. Okay, we did that. You just join a SACCO. But if you now, in the hindsight, like if you look back, you're thinking, why did I even join the SACCO? It was because everybody was doing it. Probably that's not what your money was. That's not how you wanted to align your money with. So you just join a SACCO so that you can contribute, so that you can take a loan. And there's a notion that when you're in SACCO, always make sure you have a loan. So those are things that people talk about, but we never sit down to ask ourselves, do I want even to take a loan? Why do I want to take the loan for? Okay, so we end up just following a trend without really not sitting down with our own money and understanding. So why do I want to put my money in the SACCO? What is my goal here on this SACCO? What, like you really sit down and understand how do SACCO operate? What is their interest rate? Because they say that SACCOs have low interest rate when it comes, but that only applies when you're taking a loan that is repayable within 1 year. But when you take a longer loan that has a longer repayment period, the interest rate is not the same as 12%. Okay, so those are the questions that you need to really factor in before you take the loan. Questions, guys. You see, no one is going to beat you, because you are the client, you are the holder of the money. So before you actually just do anything, ask questions. Ask the person, what is the interest rate? If I repay it with 36 months, how much will I pay? If I repay it with 24 months, how much am I paying? If I take a longer period of time to repay this loan, how much interest rate will I be paying? They will calculate for you. Okay, there are even free resources on the internet where you can calculate for yourself to understand how much interest you're paying, so that you just know, what am I getting myself into? Okay. Something else I've seen people do is take policies, education policies, life insurance policies. What are you trying to mitigate when you take an insurance policy? Okay, what is it? Is it going to benefit your family? Okay, those are the things that I'm saying. So read about policies before you take a policy. Okay, something also about retirement. You know, we are just told, oh, contribute towards your retirement, which is a very good thing. But do you understand what is retirement? Okay, ask those questions. What is a retirement? How much money which institution will best serve my retirement needs? Okay, because now when you don't have those deep in-depth questions, you end up just contributing your money. I've seen so many people who did life policy, and then when it comes to one day you lose your job, and then you realize apparently they're going to deduct a certain interest rate because you've not been able to pay towards your child policy. Okay, so many people have lost money on the policies, because when you're doing the policies, when you're taking out the policies, you do not understand if, and at any given moment I am not capable of contributing towards this policy. What does it mean for me? Am I going to lose money, or is there an insurance to cover me when I am not capable of contributing towards the policy? Okay? So something else I also want to factor in or talk about is loans and credit card debt. Okay, so we all want to grow, probably build a house or buy a car, on all those things. So we tend to use leverage credit in terms of loans and credit cards so that we can do what we need to do. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. If you take loans or you don't take loans, that's not for me to decide for you. That's for you to sit down and decide. This is your money. It's your hard-earned money. It's not my money, okay? So for you to understand, do I want to use a loan to grow my business? Do I want to use loan to build myself? Those are your personal decisions to make. But where I see people losing money is because you want to take a loan without having to understand the interest rate when it comes to the loan. Okay, you want to take the loan because everybody's taking a loan. You want to use a credit card when you don't understand how the credit cards operate. Okay, so when you want to do all these things, do you understand that are you taking a loan because under your employer a memorandum of understanding, or are you taking a loan away from your employer? Like, you see, when you take a loan under memorandum of understanding, your loan is covered in case you lose a job. But if you take a loan when you're not under your employer's MOU, it means in case you lose a job, there are consequences. Okay, you understand? You understand what I'm saying? Okay, so when you lose your job and you don't have an MOU, you are not under MOU, you're going to be in problems, because at least when you're under an employer, it means your payslip is able to cover for your loan. Financial literacy is for you to sit down and really ask questions, really understand before you do anything. Just inquire and inquire, ask question after questions. They will not refuse to ask you. This is what happens most times. You take a loan, you do what you need to do, then later you come to realize, how much are they deducting me for this loan? Now later you come to understand so many things. There were so many hidden charges. I don't know, lawyer, whatever fee was included. There were so many processing fee that was included, but you did not ask question. Let me tell you, most people benefit from your ignorance of not understanding about money. So when you ask them, they will tell you. But if you don't ask them, they don't tell you. If you sit down with your bank relationship manager or your SACCO, the person who is in charge of processing your loans when it comes to SACCO or it comes to bank, they will tell you. But they also benefit from your ignorance of not asking question. How much is my interest rate? What happens when this happens? They also benefit from that. And because most people just sign because they want a loan. I'm telling you, the amount of people who run to SACCO and they just sign, and at the end of the day they get their money without asking no questions. So you cannot come back later and blame the person who gave you the loan, because they gave you a form to read. Okay, if you had only did a little bit of research, sat with them down and asked them, what does this mean for me? They will have answered you so that you make an informed decision. This person who is giving you a loan is not your sister, is not your mother, is not your brother. This is someone who is in the business of giving you money so that they can also, they also have targets. They also have targets. They are selling. They're in the business of selling to you money. Okay, so they are not here to look into your best interest in terms of, and when I say best interest, like to look and to think, oh, she cannot afford, so I will not tell her not to take this loan, because even her, this person is under, they are employed and they're looking at how they can bring revenue to the company they work for. So it's your mandate. It is your responsibility as an adult to understand things that concern you about money. Something else number 4 people don't talk about is consolidation when it comes to loans. So what basically consolidation is that probably you have a loan with this bank, and you have a loan with this SACCO, and you have a loan with I don't know where. So what you do, you look for an organization that can consolidate all debt. So they buy you off, or they buy off the loans from those organizations, so that you only have a loan or a debt in their organization. Okay. Let me repeat this. So for example, if you have a loan with a SACCO, you have a loan with maybe a certain bank, so you probably now move to another bank. So this bank says, if you want to take a loan with us, we can also buy from you. We can buy all your loans from other organizations, so that all these loans are in this bank, right? So they consolidate and they bring it here. So they tell you it will be easier to manage your loan here. They give you all the issue. They give you all the why you need to move your consolidate all your debt and bring it here. So they pay off all those things. So in short, most people feel relieved because not so many lenders now are calling you. Like you don't owe a lot of lenders, you only owe one lender. Tuko sawa mpaka hapo? So people don't understand. Loan consolidation is not so much about the money or about the debt. It's about your behavior. Because I'm telling you, the amount of people who after consolidation they still go back and borrow money from those other organizations. So they buy it off, they bring it to this bank, they tell you this is, and they spread it out so that you seem like you're paying less. So if you're paying here kwa SACCO, you're paying maybe in 2 years, and in another bank you're paying 1 year. So they bring it here and they tell you we are going to consolidate it, then extend the loan period so that you pay with, let's say, 6 years. So when they say that, it means your monthly repayment will be less. Okay, so when your monthly becomes less, so now you don't understand. You see the difference that now if you are paying in all these loans, you're paying 35. Okay, now they bring it here and they reduce so that here you're paying, let's say, like 20. So you have a difference of 15,000. So people don't understand. People think that it was just about the money. What do people do? They look as to where to put this 15,000 in another debt. So it's so much about the behavior than just the money. So you have to really work on you and understand, what am I doing? Is this my behavior? This is a behavior thing. It's not even about a money thing, because you will keep consolidating, you end up taking another debt. It has not helped you in any way. So understand the loan consolidation. Understand, is it a behavior thing? What is it? Because once you understand that, you will not find yourself in a lot of problems, and you'll not find yourself taking loans from different places, and now you're not able to pay this. So you take here, you pay this one, you take here, you pay this one. Okay. Something else I want you to also do is there's a monster called top-ups, where most Kenyans, we have fallen prey to top-ups. Prey because to our own doing. Not from them, because this institution, they don't force you to take top-ups, to our own doing. So we take top-ups to our own detriment. Okay, so what is a bank top-up or a loan top-up? Is where you have a loan with an existing SACCO or an existing bank, and then you probably took a 1 million because you wanted to start a project, whatever project it is. So you took 1 million, you have been paying the 1 million, probably they gave you 6 years or 5 years or 48 months depending on their agreement. So you took the loan, you're supposed to pay with 48 months, but along the way, so you pay after 24 months, they tell you can top up. Because I have been there. What top-ups does is that every time you take money, so now you even get to a place where you don't even know why you're taking top-ups. Any problem that comes your way, you don't see how you can solve it without taking a top-up. So you pay it. Well, after 1 year, you go back to the bank, say, I want 200,000. So you had paid 800, now you go back to 1 million. Okay, again, something happens, you're looking for money, because you see what happens to us fellow Kenyans, or let me talk about myself. So what happens is that sometimes we take money and then we're like, okay, let me lock in 5 years so that I have to pay the loan repayment is less. So we take for 5 years, but you see, within the 5 years, so many things will happen. Probably took the loan before your child started school. Maybe you took a loan to go to school. Then along the way, you realize, I want to start building a house for my family. Or along the way, you said, I want to start a business. So you go back to the bank quickly because you've taken a long period, a loan for 5 years. So you see so many things that you did not factor between the 1 year to the 5 years. So many things come in between. So you go back to the lender, you ask for more money, you top up. So you even start topping up small money. Oh, I want to go visit my mom, I want to do something for my mom. So you go take 100,000, you go take 550,000, you go take 60,000. So what end up doing is that you find yourself that you're now at like 2.5 million without you knowing what you did with that money. Okay, so it's been just small monies here and there, you top up because it's so easy for them to top up for you. Okay, so guys, this is what I'm trying to say, because I have lived most of these experiences myself, and the only reason I feel like they impacted my financial life is because I did not have the knowledge, or I did not have the know-how, or I did not take time to understand these things. Like, I wish I asked, what does top up mean for me? Kumbe at some point I'm going to get myself into so much debt without even realizing. Okay, so this is basically what this video is about. You're going to lose a lot of money when you do not take time to understand what is money. What is financial literacy is basically your driver to succeeding when it comes to money part. Okay, the money aspect of it, which in most, I know, because we are so disadvantaged because we were never taught these things younger, but now because we have grown up and we've seen the implications of taking money, investing our money in different vehicles that we are not aware about or we do not understand, it puts us in a very, very difficult situation. It puts us in a very difficult, so you have debt everywhere. You feel so exhausted, guys. I've talked about debt in so many videos, okay? I've also talked about debt in my own experiences, from my own experiences, okay? So we find ourselves in these situations because we refuse to grow up. We refuse to take full responsibility. So guys, if you've gotten up to here, thank you so much for watching. Take this moment, guys, to just like, subscribe, share, put on the comment what is one thing that you're going to learn about the financial literacy. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.